What's going on, everybody? Dream Builder here on our Think Tank Thursday to talk to you guys about the sales secrets your manager isn't telling you about. To begin, obviously we know sales is the lifeblood of any business, successful business that is. Sales used to be called revenue, but like I said, today we're not talking about a history lesson. We're talking about this very important secret that can literally make the difference between you hitting your quota, hitting your numbers, keeping your job, and making a life worth living financially. Now, what's this big secret? Are you ready? Not everyone you talk to is going to be a qualified buyer. And you're just sitting there thinking, really, I needed to hear you say that to tell me that? I already do that, of course. However, let's look at the deeper implications of that secret or that simple statement. Now, first and foremost, before we go any further, we have to figure out what do we have to do to figure out if someone's a qualified buyer or not. That usually comes into play as a salesperson in our information gathering phase, or what we like to call discovery as well. And usually a series of questions determining whether this person's in the market, what's their biggest fear or desire, driving them towards this particular product or service, and if they can even afford it for that matter. But the biggest one of all those is if they're actually in the market for it. And I believe in the book, The Way of the Wolf by Jordan Belfort, you may know him, the Wolf of Wall Street, hence Way of the Wolf, he hits on this point excellently. He talks about a situation where he was interviewing an individual for a sales position at his firm, the Stratton. It's become a Stratton night. And he asked, hey, I need you to sell me this pen. Go. And basically, the interviewee, the young man, did his best, but he basically just tried to bullshit the sale. Well, this pen here has an ergonomic grip, so it feels extra good. Just tried to bullshit his way to a sale, which wasn't going to happen no matter how good he made that pen sound. At that moment, after Jordan told the young man that you've messed up, that was freaking terrible, I don't want a freaking pen, and his associate, Donnie Alzoff, now hopefully I'm saying that right, the guy who was played as Jonah Hill in The Wolf of Wall Street, that's who I'm talking about, walks in on the interview, and Jordan asks the same exact thing of Donnie. Hey, Donnie, just to demonstrate a point, sell me this pen. He hands the pen to Donnie. Donnie looks at the pen for a moment, looks at Jordan, and like, well, Mr. Belfort, how long have you been in the market for a pen? Jordan then simply replies, I'm not. He's like, then don't waste my fucking time. Throws the pen in the trash and walks out of the office. And that little story demonstrates my point exactly. And keep in mind, Donnie was probably one of the better salespeople in Stratton Jordan's company. So for him to say, I'm not even going to bother trying to sell you because you're not even in the market for it, I think there's something profound there that we look a little deeper at. And I mean, just imagine you went up to your supervisor if you're in a sales business and you said, hey, what happened? Well, he wasn't in the market for the product. Chances are they're not going to be very happy with you, and that conversation is going to end up being some kind of, well, you could have done this better, you could have done this better, why didn't you do this? You know, they're never going to tell you that, oh, you're right, you shouldn't have tried. My goodness. Especially in businesses where the company is actually paying for the leads, like in inside sales and stuff like that. When they're actually paying for the leads to come in, and conversion is a big part of the structure and how people get paid. And usually in these type of organizations, what they'll have you believe that if you're a talented, truly talented salesperson, you should be closing the majority of the people that you talk to. And I believe that's totally possible. Don't get me wrong. However, I believe it's a wrong perspective to look at, especially as a salesperson in an inside sales environment, or any sales environment for that matter. Because you're basically a gold prospector, in words. And what management is trying to tell you, that the water that's coming downstream, and you got your little filter, they're telling you that stream is gold. It's going to turn to gold, you just don't know when. When you become good enough, that stream will turn to gold. And that's just not going to happen. In reality, you need to wait for that gold nugget to hit your filter and be like, oh, I got a real opportunity here. Let me capitalize on it. And my point being is, if you're the person waiting there for the water to turn to gold, you're wasting a lot of time on people who aren't qualified, who aren't even inclined to be interested about your product in the slightest. And to drive this point further home with you guys, think about what's happening to you when you do that. Yeah, you could try your hardest. You could say anything and everything to somebody who's not going to buy. It's not going to happen. It's about probability. If the person doesn't have an inclination to buy or even qualify, they don't have the money to buy the product, they're not going to buy it. It's just not going to happen. But that being said, if you did correct information gathering, if this is an actual gold nugget sitting in front of you, whether that be in the phone, in person, then you need to put your best foot forward. You need to do everything you possibly can to provide the best possible service as a professional salesperson. Because by you spending time on someone who isn't qualified, not only are you wasting your time, you're wasting the person on the other end's line, and you could be spending that time helping someone else who is actually qualified. And that's the problem, the biggest problem I see. But I don't want you guys to take this the wrong way. You should treat every single prospect when you first get them in contact as a buyer. You should always put your best foot forward. However, if they don't have a fear or desire driving them towards your product, if they're not in the market for it, if they can't afford it, then chances are what you have is not for that person. And move on. Don't waste your time. Don't waste their time. Go help someone else who can use and is serious about it. And like I said, this is an intuitive thing. You have to do the correct information gathering before you can make that decision whether this person that you're speaking with is a qualified buyer. And that takes time to learn. However, by asking the right questions and using your ability to read another person's words, tonality, body language, you can make a correct assumption about what kind of a prospect or buyer they are. And you can move from there. Now, to wrap all this up, I wanted to get this point across because I didn't learn this simple little secret fast enough. It cost me my job, and I don't want you to make the same mistake I did. So I'm putting it out there for you, soak it in. Maybe it'll help you keep your job, thrive beyond your wildest dreams. And that's my hope. That's my plan. I'm going to use this lesson wherever I go next. I promise you that. And I think you should too. But I don't want you to just take my word for it. Book, I just mentioned earlier, The Way of the Wolf by Jordan Belfort, talks about this and some. I highly recommend getting your hands on that. You can do that in the description down below. And I highly recommend you get that book on Audible. Reason being is because he talks a lot about tonality. And it's hard to hear tonality when you're reading a book. Get it on Audible, I highly recommend it. If not, just get the regular book. Whatever floats your boat, I highly recommend it. Take his word for it, not just mine. And I promise you, that little tip, that little secret could shift, could change things for you, especially if you're in a sales career. And with that, guys, I appreciate you taking the time to watch this, listen to me rant about this briefly. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got some value out of it. If you did, comment down below, wherever this be on my blog or on YouTube. Go check out my blog in the description down below as well. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, you're going to do that up here, guys. If you want to see more content from my channel, and there's much more coming, trust me, you're going to click right here. And with that, guys, thank you so much for your time. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you next time. Peace.